Okay, so good evening everyone. Good evening po. Naririnig po ba ako? Ayan, okay. So mag-start na po ako sa ating special lecture about your intrapartal OB. So mag-start tayo sa ating labor process kasi dito may mga lumabas last November. Yeah. Okay, so dito, so we have your definition of labor. So what is the definition of labor in obstetrics? So we have your process by which the fetus, placenta, and amniotic membranes are expelled from the uterus. That is the term labor po. So pag sinabi nating labor, yun yung paraan kung paano lumabas yung mga products of pregnancy natin. So it is the process by which the fetus, placenta, and amniotic membranes are expelled from the uterus. That is the labor process. So in labor, we call parturient to a woman who is in a labor po. So kapag ikaw ay buntis, ang tawag sa iyo gravida. Okay? Gravida or primigravida, multigravida, yun yung tawag natin sa mga buntis na pasyente. So ang mga pasyente naman na nagle-labor ay tinatawag natin na parturient. Kapag katapos ng mga anak, ang tawag naman sa atin sa kanila is puerpera. Okay? So doon pa lang sa mga terms natin, dapat alam natin yon. Again, pag buntis, it's either primigravida or multigravida. Primigravida means first time pregnancy po yun ng babae. Pag multigravida, second time or more na po yun ng babae. So yung pagkaiba ng primigravida sa multigravida. Okay? Pag unang pagbubuntis, primigravida, and pag pangalawa or pangatlo na niya, tawag doon ay multigravida. Okay? So in a woman in labor, we call them as parturient naman. So under your labor, it is affected by your 6Ps po. So labor progress can be affected by passenger, passageway, power position, the psyche or perception of the mother, and parity. So dapat alam nyo yung 6Ps na to kasi pwede po nila itong in-negative question. Okay? Passenger, passageway, power position, psyche or perception, and parity. So pag sinabi natin passenger, alam nyo naman na po yan, no? Passenger is the fetus. Yeah, so that is your fetus po. So dati, magkahiwalay yung passenger tsaka placenta. Pero ngayon, iisa na po sila. Yung placenta tsaka fetus, part na po yan ng passenger natin. So tandaan natin that passenger can be the number one reason also of dystocia of labor. Kasi kapag yung baby mo is large for gestational age or malaki, it can affect your labor progress. Example, if the baby is macrosomic, the mother can deliver the baby with cesarean section or with prolonged labor kapag masyadong malaki yung baby. Or if the baby is in a malpresentation or in a malposition, that would be a problem in the progress of your labor. So it will affect your progress of labor sa ating passenger po. Tandaan niyo yan. So these 6Ps of labors, this 6Ps of labor can affect the progress of labor. Example sa passenger, ito lang sabi ko kanina, fetal size, fetal presentation, and fetal position can affect the progress of labor. Kunwari, malaki yung baby, it can affect the progress of labor. Pwedeng maging prolonged yung labor mo or baka ma-CS ka. And if the baby is mal-presented, like in a breech presentation or shoulder presentation, so baka matagalan din yung delivery ni nanay. Okay? And if the baby is mal-positioned, example, yung mga right occiput posterior position, left occiput posterior position, so mahirapan si nanay na ilabas yung baby niya. Okay? So next, we have your passageway. Pag sinabi naman natin passageway, it is all about your bony pelvis of the mother. It is the pelvis of the mother. So it can also affect the progress of labor if there's an abnormality in the passageway. Example, in obstetrics, the best type of pelvis should be gynecoid pelvis. Kailangan ang pelvis ng mga babae ay gynecoid po, no? Para may deliver po nila yung kanilang baby with ease and without difficulty. Pero pag ang nanay ay meron siyang android pelvis, platypeloid pelvis, or even anthropoid pelvis, medyo mahihirapan po silang mag-normal delivery. Kasi ang pinaka-most ideal lang na passageway natin is at gynecoid pelvis. It is the round-shaped cavity. Yung gynecoid po, yun yung the best type of pelvis for vaginal delivery. The rest of your pelvis can lead to prolonged labor like your android, platypeloid, and even anthropoid. Okay? So, ang pinaka-the best sa pelvis dyan is your, ano daw? Gynecoid pelvis. So, again, so the type of the passageway can also affect the progress of labor. Next, power po. Pag sinabi natin power, it is all about the uterine contraction and the bearing down effort of the mother. Gaano ba siya kagaling umire? Okay? Gaano ba humihilab yung tiyan niya with their oxytocin release in their posterior pituitary gland. So that is your power. So tandaan mo, kapag si mother po ay binigyan natin ng mga relaxants, it can also affect the power of your labor. Kunwari, kung si nanay binigyan mo siya ng magnesium sulfate kasi may preeclampsia po siya, no? It can also affect the progress of labor kasi matatagalan niyang i-deliver yung baby niya kasi pwedeng mag-relax yung uterus niya with your magnesium sulfate. Or if the mother receives analgesia or anesthesia in labor, it can also relax the uterus. So it can affect the progress of your labor po. Next, position. The position of the mother in delivering the baby can also affect the progress of labor. So tandaan natin that the ideal position now to deliver the baby is in upright position. So pag tinanong kayo sa board exam, what is the ideal position for vaginal delivery? Wala na magsasagot ng dorsal recumbent, lithotomy position. Ang sagot natin is the upright position. That is now the ideal position to deliver the baby. Okay, with the help of gravity, makakalabas po yung baby with ease and without difficulty. Yun yun. Next, psych or perception of the mother. It can also affect the progress of labor. Kapag hindi po cooperative si nanay during labor, it will prolong the labor. Okay, it will prolong the labor. Kunwari, si nanay wala siyang pakialam. Sabi mo na wag mo na siyang kumain kasi transitional phase na, kumakain pa rin siya. O inom pa rin siya ng inom ng maraming tubig. So, bawal kasi yun kasi it will impede your progress of labor kapag kain ka pa rin ng kain kapag nasa transitional phase ka na ng labor. Pwede pang kumain sa active at saka sa latent phase. Pero sa transitional, dapat limit na natin yung food intake niya. Okay? Kasi baka mapuno yung tiyan niya, mapuno yung bladder niya, it will impede your uterine contraction. Yan. And parity. The number of total of pregnancies and deliveries of the mother can also affect the progress of labor. Kunwari, kung previous parity po niya or delivery niya is nanganak siya via cesarean section, pwedeng maulit-ulit yung kanyang CS delivery. So again, so dystocia in labor is caused by your 6 phase of labor. Ano bang dystocia? Dystocia means the difficulty of the mother to give birth of the baby. Dystocia is the difficulty of labor. So what are the causes of dystocia? The 6 phase of labor. Okay, the 6 phase of labor. Malinaw po. Again, breech presentation daw yung fetus. Ano po yung problem natin? Passenger, passageway, power, position, or perception and parity. Ano sagot ninyo? Naka-breech presentation yung baby. Anong problem natin? Passenger, passageway, power, position, psych, or parity. Anong problem? Okay, very good. It's the passenger. How about kapag encroaching daw yung ischial spine ng pelvis ni nanay? The pelvis of the ischial spines of the pelvis is encroaching. Anong problem natin? It's the passageway. Yan. It's the passageway of the mother. Okay? How about if the baby is in a left occiput posterior? What is the problem of labor? What is the problem of labor? If the baby's position is left occiput position, the problem is the passenger na naman. Okay? The problem is the passenger. So that is your 6 phase of labor. Yan. Always remember that passenger can affect the progress of labor. So dapat ang fetus nasa normal weight lang po siya tsaka normal positions and normal presentation. So ano po ba dapat ang normal weight ni fetus? The normal weight of the fetus is 2.5 kilogram to 4 kilograms or 5.5 to 8.8 pounds. That is the normal term weight of the fetus. More than 5.5 to 8.8 is not normal. Kunwari, if the baby is more than 8.8, that is a macrosomic baby na. Macrosomic is a baby delivered by diabetic mothers. Yan. Okay, pag ikaw po ay meron ng baby na more than 8.8 pounds or more than 4 kilograms, that is a macrosomic infant and suspect for diabetes from the mother. Kasi kadalasan, ang mga GDM patients natin or mga gestational diabetic patient natin, nagkakaroon po sila ng macrosomic infants, mga malalaking babies po. Okay, because the fetus took too much glucose during pregnancy. That's the cause of their rapid weight gain during intrauterine life. Lumalaki po sila dahil sa kuha ng glucose sa dugo ni nanay nung sila pinagbubuntis pa. So yun. So yung ating GDM, ang GDM ay gestational diabetes mellitus. Lumabas po yun last November board exam. So ang GDM po ay nawawala po yun after pregnancy kapag well-managed po siya. Kaya nagkakaroon ng GDM ang mga pregnant mothers because of the role of your hormone na human placental lactogen. Yung human placental lactogen, it causes your insulin sensitivity. Yan. Nagkakaroon ka ng insulin sensitivity or nagkakaroon ng insulin resistance. Yan. Nagde-decrease yung insulin sensitivity mo or nagkakaroon ka ng insulin resistance kapag ikaw po ay buntis because of your human placental lactogen. Kaya nagkakaroon sila ng GDM. Yan. So next, placenta. Placenta must be 400 to 500 grams at term. So kailangan yung placenta up to 500 grams lang kasi pag masyadong malaki naman to, that would be a problem after delivery. Next, amniotic fluid, 2 pounds lang siya or approximately 500 to 1,000 ml. So that is the normal amount of the amniotic fluid of a pregnant patient. Dapat 500 to 1,000 lamang kasi pag less than 500, oligohydramnios yung condition niya. Pag more than 2,000 naman, polyhydramnios naman yung condition po niya. Okay, again, what is the condition with the less than 500 ml amniotic fluid? Oligohydramnios. How about kapag more than 2,000? Polyhydramnios. So tandaan natin, ano? This condition may also reflect your fetal health or fetal well-being. Kunwari, if the mother is oligohydramnios, suspect for renal abnormalities of the fetus. Kaya kaunti ang amniotic fluid ni nanay during pregnancy is kaunti lamang din yung urine contribution ni baby. So, kung kaunti ang amniotic fluid ng pregnant patient natin, suspect for fetal renal abnormality. May sakit sa kidneys yung baby. Yan. Baka meron siyang renal agenesis or baka isa lamang yung kidneys ng fetus. Kasi pwedeng mangyari yun. Pwedeng iisa lamang yung kidney ng baby kaya kaunti lamang yung kanyang amniotic fluid. Kapag ito naman ay may polyhydramnios, it can also indicate abnormalities to the baby. Kapag polyhydramnios naman ang nanay during pregnancy, it may indicate your esophageal atresia of the baby. Yung tracheoesophageal fistula, kung tawagin natin, or the TEF. Yung esophageal atresia, hindi po dumediretso yung esophagus niya sa kanyang stomach. So kumbaga, hindi niya nalulunok yung amniotic fluid kasi tandaan natin, no? Amniotic fluid is a fluid for the baby to drink. Okay? So if the amniotic fluid is more than 2,000 ml, suspect that the baby is not drinking the amniotic fluid inside the uterus because the baby may have a problem in their esophagus. Hindi niya nalulunok. So anong problema po ng baby natin kapag may polyhydramnios yung nanay? There is a tracheoesophageal fistula of the baby. May TEF yung bata. Okay? So that is your indicator for fetal well-being also. Your amount of amniotic fluid. Okay? Ginagamit natin yan sa ating biophysical scoring sa bata. Yung amniotic fluid volume niya. Kapag mas maliit, may problem kay baby. Pag mas marami, may problem pa rin kay baby. That is your passenger. O, naunawaan po ba? Naunawaan po ba yung first part ng ating passenger? Ayan, buti may boses na ako. Kagabi talagang wala akong boses. Yan. So we have your passenger po. Ano ulit yung sa baby, sir? Yan. Pag oligohydramnios, renal agenesis problem. Agenesis. Ibig sabihin yan, hindi na-form yung kidney ni baby or isa lang yung na-form na kidney ni baby. Renal agenesis problem. Okay? Kapag polyhydramnios naman, it is linked with your tracheoesophageal fistula. It is linked with your tracheoesophageal fistula po kapag ganun po na may polyhydramnios si baby. Ayun. Next. Okay, so for the fetus po, we have your presentation. So kailangan alam din natin yung mga normal, subnormal na presentation ng ating mga fetus kasi kapag abnormal yung presentation nila, we expect that the baby will be delivered via cesarean section. Kasi as nurses and even mga midwife, hindi sila pwede mag-deliver ng mga abnormal presentation na baby. Okay? Hindi tayo allowed ng ating mga Republic Acts na mag-deliver po ng mga breech presentation or shoulder presentation na baby. So those are abnormal presentations. So hindi natin siya pwedeng i-deliver. Now, ano ba yung normal presentation? Normal presentation should be cephalic. Pag sinabi natin presentation, what part of the baby comes out first in the birth canal? Ano ba yung nasa birth canal ni nanay or nasa vagina ni nanay na parte ng katawan ni baby? So pag sinabi natin cephalic, cephalic means the head should be the first presenting part in your birth canal. Okay? Ano daw dapat ang nasa lower pole ng uterus ni nanay? At the lower pole of the uterus, it should be the fetal head. Okay? Kaya nga sa Leopold's maneuver, napaka-crucial po na i-perform natin yung ating Leopold's maneuver after 24 weeks bago pa siya mag-labor or mag-deliver in term pregnancy, no? Para malaman na natin kung siya ba ay cephalic or breech. Okay? So, in Leopold's maneuver, if you palpated a soft mass in the fundic height of the mother, that is a good sign. Why? Because that mass is the buttocks. At kapag buttocks po yung ating nasa fundal part ng abdomen ni nanay, what is at the symphysis pubis part? The head na. Yan. Sir po, pag may shoulder dystocia po ba is ano daw? May katanungan dito. Sir, pag po ba alam na may shoulder dystocia sa baby, possible po na normal delivery pa rin or CS? CS po. Unless if you are trained to do your maneuvers, mamaya pag-usapan natin yung maneuvers. Pero kapag ito po ay shoulder dystocia at wala po sa choices yung ating mga maneuvers na ginagamit dyan, CS ang ating delivery. Okay? CS ang ating delivery. Okay? O, mamaya yung ating mga maneuvers. Again. So, in Leopold's maneuver, kailangan kapain natin yung fundic height ni nanay at saka yung symphysis pubis area niya. Kapag sa kanyang sa kanyang fundal part, if the mass in the fundus is soft and movable, that is a good sign. Why? It means to say that the baby is in a cephalic presentation. But if the mass in the fundal area is hard and immovable, that is a bad sign in labor and delivery. Why? Kasi that is what? That is a sign of what? That is a sign of breech presentation baby. Yan, breech yung baby mo kapag ganun po yun. Ulitin ko ha. Ano daw dapat ang nasa fundos ni nanay kapag nagli-Leopold's maneuver tayo? Soft mass ba or hard mass dapat? Soft mass dapat. There should be a soft mass in the fundal area because soft mass reflects the buttocks of the baby. Puwet yun. Kumbaga dito sa illustration natin dito, kung nakikita nyo itong ating picture dito, pag kinapa mo yung fundos ni nanay, yan, Pag nakapa mo yung malambot, okay yun. Walang problema yung panganganak ni nanay kasi cephalic yung baby niya. Kasi puwet na yung nakakapa mo sa taas automatic yung nasa baba, ulo na niya. Pero pag hard mass ang nakapa mo sa fundal area ni nanay, that would be a problem in your labor and delivery because the baby is in a breech presentation. Okay? Breech presentation. What if in the fundal area you cannot palpate fetal part? Wala kang napapalpate na fetal part. Ano kaya yung presentation ni baby doon? Walang soft, walang hard mass na nakakapa sa fundal area ni nanay. So what is the suspected presentation of the baby? It is a transverse or a shoulder presentation baby. And that is also abnormal. Okay, very good at alam niyo po yung ating mga keywords. Yeah, next. What is the normal position of the baby? Pag sinabi natin normal position of the baby, the relationship of the occiput to the pelvis of the mother. Kailangan yung occiput nakaharap sa anterior, dito sa taas. Kasi kapag ang occiput or itong likod ng ulo ni baby ay nakaharap sa puwetan ni nanay, problema po yun. So any occiput posterior position cannot normally deliver the baby. Malinaw po? Again, ulitin ko any occiput posterior position of the baby cannot be delivered via normal delivery. Mahihirapan po tayong i-deliver yung mga occiput posterior baby. So what is okay position? OA are always okay. Tandaan niyo yun. OAs are always okay. Occiput anteriors are the best position of the baby inside the uterus. Left occiput anterior, then right occiput anterior. So yun yung most acceptable na positions ng baby. Next, for the lie of the baby. Pag sinabing fetal lie naman, nurses, if we say fetal lie is the higa. Okay? Higa ni baby sa loob ng uterus ni nanay. Okay? So the lie is the relationship between the spine of the baby and the spine of the mother. Okay, tandaan niyo na, the relationship between the spine of the mother and the spine of the baby. Always remember that the spine of the mother is always straight. Yes or no? Tama, mali? Straight po bang spinal cord ni nanay? Yan po ba yung spinal cord ni nanay? Yes, spinal cord po niya yan. Spine niya yan. Spine ni nanay yan. Now, kapag yung spine ni baby ay katulad sa spine ni nanay, anong tawag mo doon? The spine of the baby is parallel to the spine of the mother. Anong tawag doon? Longitudinal. Okay, anong tawag natin sa ano na yon? Sa fetal lie na yon. Ang tawag doon ay longitudinal. Tandaan niyo na. Ano ang longitudinal lie? Ang longitudinal lie is the best lie of the baby. Why? Kasi they are parallel to one another po. Ulitin ko, they are parallel to one another. Paano mo yan basahin? Parallel to one another. Nagets po? If the spine of the baby is parallel to the spine of the mother, that is a longitudinal lie. And pag sinabi natin longitudinal lie, nangyayari po ito kapag vertical yung spine ni baby sa spine ni nanay. Vertical lie ang tawag doon. Okay, what is the lie of the baby? Vertical lie. So, ano yung lie na ito? Vertical po ba to or horizontal? Itong higa ni baby sa picture natin. Kapag cephalic si baby, naka-vertical lie po siya. Yes or no? Yes. Kapag cephalic si baby, vertical po yun. Kapag breech si baby, vertical lie pa rin ba ang breech baby? Yes or no? Vertical lie pa rin po ba kapag breech ang baby? Yes. Vertical pa rin yun kasi nandito yung ulo, nandun yung puwet, patayo pa rin yung kanyang higa. That is the lie in your obstetrics. Ano yung higa ni baby sa loob ng matres ni nanay? That is the lie in OB. Yan. Next, pag sinabi naman natin na transverse lie, tandaan nyo si nanay laging may straight spine. Okay, what is the relationship of the maternal spine and the fetal spine? That is the fetal lie. So, if the fetal lie is lying across the spine of the mother or making perpendicular line to the mother's spine, Anong tawag mo dyan? Okay? Ang tawag po sa pa-cross ay perpendicular line. Okay? So, if the spine of the baby is perpendicular to the spine of the mother, ang tawag dyan ay transverse line. Ang tawag doon? Transverse line. Ano tawag mo sa ganitong pa-cross po? Ano tawag natin dyan sa mga types of lines natin na pa-cross? Perpendicular line. Yan. So, if the spine of the baby is perpendicular to the spine of the mother, the lie of the baby is transverse lie baby. And is it normal? Is it normal to deliver a baby with a transverse lie? No. Okay, no yan. Shoulder presentation po ito. CS ang kanyang result dyan. Okay, next, how about kapag yung kanyang spine is 45 degree from the maternal spine? This is the maternal spine. And if the fetal spine is like this, if the fetal spine is like this, what do you call to this fetal lie? Anong fetal lie yan? Kapag yung baby, yung spine niya is 45 degree angle. Okay, kasi kung titingnan mo po dito sa part na ito, kung titingnan natin sa part na ito, it creates 45 degree angle dito sa part na to. May 45 degree angle yan. So if the spine of the baby is 45 degree angle to the spine of the mother, what do you call to this type of lie? Ang tawag dyan ay oblique lie. At kapag oblique yung lie ni baby, pwede mo pa itong ipa-external version na ginagawa lamang ng mga doctors. Or in layman's term, ipahilot para maayos yung position ni baby. Okay, so yun. Again, so what is the best fetal lie? What is the most common fetal lie? Ano sagot natin? It should be longitudinal or vertical lie. Okay, so alam niyo na ha? So dapat ganun po yung baby mo kapag buntis ka. Naka-longitudinal siya or vertical lie si baby. Yan. Next, and what should be the attitude of the baby? Vertex po dapat. Pag sinabing vertex, the occiput of the head should be the presenting part. Para pag sinabi nating vertex, complete flexion po yung baby. So, the best attitude of the baby should have a complete flexion. Again, lumalabas sa exam, the best attitude should be in a complete flexion po siya. Kailangan yung smallest diameter ng ulo niya ang unang lalabas sa puwerta ni nanay. And yung smallest diameter na yon ay yung occiput niya. And what is that occiput? Anong shape po niya sa ating mga nursing or mga exam questions? Sa midwifery, lagi lumalabas yun eh. Anong shape ng vertex? It is the triangular shape in the fetal head. Tandaan yan. So, if the physician or if the obstetrician palpated the triangular portion of the fetal head, what is the fetal attitude? Sagot natin, vertex. Letter V for triangle. Letter V for triangle. Parang triangle po siya. So, during your internal examination, if you palpated the small triangular portion of the fetal head, that is a cue that the baby is in a good attitude, good presentation, and good position po. Once na nakapa mo na yung small triangular portion ng ulo ni baby, walang problema sa panganganak ni nanay. Okay? It all follows na. Kapag naka-vertex na siya, automatic cephalic na po yun, automatic naka-occiput anterior na po yun, automatic vertical na po yung baby natin. Naintindihan po ba? Huwag lang diamond shape part ng ulo ha. Pag diamond shape part ng ulo ang nakapamo sa internal examination, that would be a problem in delivery. Okay? So, kailangan i-CS na po yun pag ganon. So, ano daw dapat ang nakakapa natin sa head ni baby during internal examination? It should be the smallest triangular portion of the fetal head. The smallest triangular portion of the fetal head. So, that is the normal findings dapat kapag nag-IE po tayo. Okay, so that is your passenger. Next, let's talk about your power. So in obstetrics, there are two types of power, the primary power and the secondary power of the labor. Pag sinabi natin primary power, it is all about your involuntary power, which is the uterine contraction po. Bakit siya tinawag na involuntary power? Because the mother doesn't have the control to contract their uterus. Yes or no? What controls uterine contraction? Their brain. So kaya siya tinawag na involuntary power. Okay? So ano daw yung involuntary power natin? It's the uterine contraction. It's the uterine contraction. And what hormone causes uterine contraction? Anyone? What hormone causes uterine contraction? It is the oxytocin hormone. Tama? And what organ produces oxytocin hormone? What organ produces oxytocin? A. Placenta, B. Adrenal, C. Thyroid, or D. Pituitary? It's the pituitary gland. So dalawang side po ang pituitary natin. Anterior side tsaka posterior side. Saan sa dalawa? Anterior pituitary gland or posterior pituitary gland? Posterior pituitary gland. Again, may control po ba si nanay sa kanyang contraction or wala? Wala siyang control. So anong tawag mo pag hindi nakokontrol ni nanay yung paghilab ng tiyan? Involuntary power. Kaya involuntary power. Ano ang may control si nanay? Yung secondary power po. Pag sinabi natin secondary power, that is the voluntary power of labor. And that is the maternal Valsalva maneuver. Pag sinabing Valsalva maneuver, that is the maternal bearing down. Or sa Tagalog, pag-ire ni nanay. Okay? So, these two types of power can affect the progress of labor. Okay? These two types of power can affect your progress of labor. Pwedeng ma-hasten at pwedeng ma-delayed yung ating labor and delivery. Kapag meron kang hypertonic, hypotonic contraction, it will delay your delivery. So, dapat normal lamang yung contraction pattern ng uterus mo. So, para masabi natin na normal ang contraction mo, how many contractions should be in your monitor for 10 minutes? How many contraction should be present in your monitoring device in a period of 10 minutes? Ilan dapat? There should be at least 3 to 5 contractions that occurring every 10 minutes. Nakuha po ba? 3 to 5 contraction patterns in 3 to 5 contraction patterns in 10 minutes. Okay? In 10 minutes po yun ha. In 10 minutes period, kailangan may makita ka sa monitor mo na dumaan na 1, 2, 3. Okay? Kailangan may makita kang 3 or more patterns of contraction there. 3 to 5 lang dapat. More than 5, hypertonic. Less than 3, hypotonic. Okay? O, huwag nyo kakalimutan yon. Kapag hypotonic, syempre less than 3 nga yun, no? Anong binibigay na gamot? Oxytocin. Bibigyan ng pampahilab. How about kapag hypertonic? Bibigyan mo pa ba ng oxytocin yon or hindi na? Syempre hindi na. So, ano ibibigay natin? Diazepam, muscle relaxants. Muscle relaxants para mag-relax si nanay. At saka pain reliever. Now, sir, naglaban po. Muscle relaxant po tsaka pain reliever po yung nasa choices. May hypertonic uterus daw si nanay. Ano daw yung priority na ibibigay? What should be your answer? Tingnan ko nga. What should be your answer? Is it the muscle relaxant or the pain reliever? Ala, kakasimula pa lang tayo, Alan. Alas 8 tayo mag-end. Anong ating ipra-prioritize? The pain relief or the muscle relaxant? The pain relief. Pain relief po. Why? Kasi pag hypertonic uterus, it will cause severe excruciating pain. Masakit yon kay nanay. Sobrang sakit yon. Parang sinasaksak yung kanyang tiyan kapag hypertonic uterus. At pag ikaw ay may pain, it will affect your breathing. Tandaan niyo yan. Kapag meron kang severe pain, it can affect your breathing. So, prioritize first your pain relief. Okay. Next. Okay, so in your labor and delivery, we should monitor your progress of your labor by monitoring your cervical effacement and dilatation. That is the key assessment to determine the progress of labor. not the uterine contraction. Halina po. Again, what will reflect progressive labor? Progressive labor is reflected by progressive cervical effacement and dilatation. So pag naglaban po ang contraction tsaka dilatation of the cervix as the key sign of labor, ang sagot nyo lagi, dilatation and effacement. Dilatation and effacement. Kasi ang ating contraction, hindi po siya yung key sign of progressive labor. Kasi pwedeng nagko-contract ngayong uterus mo, pero hindi naman nagpro-progress yung cervical dilatation mo. Di pa rin makakalabas yung baby. Nakuha po ba? Again, what is the key sign or the hallmark sign of your progressive labor? Key sign of progressive labor or the hallmark sign of progressive labor. Ano sagot natin? Dilatation and effacement. Yan, dilatation and effacement. Okay, very good. It's the dilatation and effacement po. Next, so as a nurse or as a midwife, yan, kung midwife ka, kung nurse ka, or even obstetrician, they should assess the uterine contractions. So what are the components in your assessment of your uterine contraction? Number one, assess your increment or the crescendo phase of your contraction. Pag sinabi natin increment, it is the increasing force of contraction. Increment is the increasing force. Yan. Next, again, increment, increasing force of contraction. Next, duration. Common board question. Pag sinabing duration, it is the timing of the contraction from the beginning of one contraction up to the end of the same contraction. O orasan mo mula nung tumigas siya hanggang sa matapos yung pagtigas ng tiyan ni nanay. Ang tawag doon ay duration po. The moment na naramdaman mong tumigas yung tiyan niya, i-time mo na yung kanyang contraction. At kapag biglang lumambot na yung tiyan niya, that would be the end of your timing po. Kapag inorasan mo from the beginning to the end of one contraction, ang tawag doon ay duration of contraction. Nakuha. Duration sa Tagalog, tagal ng kanyang paghilab. Gaano katagal tumigas ang tiyan ni nanay? So paano mo kukunin yun? Orasan mo from the beginning of contraction to the end of same contraction. That is the duration of contraction po. Next, ano naman yung intensity? The intensity of contraction is assessed by the strength of the contraction. So paano natin malalaman yung intensity po niya? By gently indenting your fingertips. Kasi kapag nag-assess po tayo ng contraction, we are not palpating the fundus like this. We are just palpating the fundus like this. Spread your fingers, makinig. Spread your fingers over the fundus of the mother and gently indent it. Kumbaga, kung ito yung tiyan ni nanay, spread mong ganyan, yung kamay mo, tapos ipisin mo lang ng kaunti. That is the proper assessment of uterine contraction. Okay? Spread your fingers over the fundus of the mother and gently indent it to feel the intensity of the contraction. So, if the abdomen of the mother is just like your nose consistency, like the consistency of your nose, that is a mild contraction only. If it is same with your chin, that is your moderate contraction. But if it is hard as your forehead, that is your strong contraction na. Mild, moderate, strong. Mild, moderate, strong. Nakuha po ba? So, pag ito po daw ay kasintigas ng ilong mo, ano daw po yun? Mild contraction, moderate contraction, or strong contraction na yon? Mild. How about like for your chin? Chin. Moderate. Kapag sintigas na ng forehead, that is a strong contraction. Yun yun. Next, acme is the peak of contraction. Acme is the peak. Alam niyo na yan. Pag sinabing acme, kahit saan po yan gamitin na word, pag sinabing acme, that is the peak. Nasa rurok ka na ng contraction niya. Then, decrement. Ang decrement naman is the decreasing force of contraction. Yung parang humihina na yung kanyang pagtigas. Yung palambot na ng palambot yung tiyan niya, decrement po yun ng contraction. Okay, so again, pagpapatigas ng papatigas, increment. Pagpalambot na siya, decrement. Next, kapag malambot na siya, hanggang sa tumigas ulit siya, tawag doon interval. Why? From the end of one contraction to the beginning of the next contraction, interval po yun. Yung kamay mo nakalagay pa rin sa tiyan niya, no? Lumambot na siya. Orasan mo yon. Anong oras nung lumambot siya? Then, antayin mong titigas ulit siya. From the moment na nag-end kanina yung one contraction until na mag-start na naman yung another contraction niya, ang tawag doon ay interval of uterine contraction. Naintindihan po ba? So if we are measuring the interval, measure from the end of one contraction up to the beginning of the next contraction. That is the interval or the relaxation phase of your uterus. Yan. How about if you time the contraction from the beginning of one contraction until the beginning again of the next contraction? Ano tawag mo doon? Ang tawag na doon ay frequency. Beginning to beginning, frequency na po yun. From beginning to end of one contraction, yun yung duration. Beginning of one contraction to the beginning of the next contraction, that is your frequency. Natindihan nyo? Nakuha po ba? Imagine that this is your uterine contraction. This is the beginning of one contraction. The increasing force of contraction is known as the increment. The peak is the acme. The decreasing force is the decrement. From the relaxation, then up to the beginning of another contraction, that is the interval. That is the interval. Okay? So from the beginning up to the end of first contraction, that is your duration, this one. From the beginning up to the end of one contraction, that is the duration. But if you time from the beginning of one contraction up to the beginning of the next contraction, that is your frequency. Nakuha niyo na po ba? Nakuha niyo na po ba? Inuurasan mo yung ating contraction po dito. Okay, yun yung pag-oras sa contraction. Again, ulitin natin. Keywords in the board exam. The nurse or the midwife is timing the contraction from the beginning of one contraction up to the end of same contraction po. Inurasan mo from the beginning up to the end of same contraction. Duration, very good po yun. Kasi beginning to end, di ba? From the beginning of one contraction to the end of same contraction, that is the duration po. Yan. Next, how about from the end of one contraction to the beginning of the next contraction? From the end of one contraction to the beginning of the next contraction. Interval, very good. From the beginning of one contraction to the beginning of the next contraction. Yun yung frequency. So, nurses, midwives, okay? Kailangan wag kayong malito. Kailangan alam ninyo yung yung ating keywords. Kunwari, ano bang keyword na ginagamit natin kapag duration po ito? Kapag duration, ang keyword mo is beginning to end. Beginning to end ang keyword mo. Ang ating keyword naman sa interval ay end to beginning. From end to beginning. Yun. Pero pag ang nabasa mo sa board exam mo ay dalawang beginning, that is frequency already. Dito lang naman kayo nalilito eh. Sa duration, interval, frequency. Yung mga acme, increment, decrement, alam nyo na yon. Pero sa tatlong ito, malilito ka talaga kapag hindi mo siya inintindi ng maayos. So frequency is from the beginning of one contraction to the beginning of the next contraction. Okay? So that is your keywords. From the beginning of one contraction to the end of same contraction. Duration. From the end of one contraction to beginning of the next contraction. Interval. From the beginning of one contraction to the beginning of the next contraction, that is your frequency. Okay, naintindihan na po ba? I hope so naintindihan nyo na with your keywords. Okay, so next. Okay, so next topic, we have your premonitory signs of labor. So pag sinabi po natin premonitory signs of labor naman, so these are the key signs or the warning signs that the mother is about to deliver the baby. So patandaan na siya po ay manganganak na. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng premonitory signs of labor. And if you will check your table of specification, nasa NP2 tsaka OB po yung ating premonitory signs of labor. So what are the premonitory signs of labor? Number 1, lightening process. What is lightening? It is the earliest sign of approaching labor. Pag tinanong tayo, what is the earliest sign of approaching labor? Sagot natin, lightening po. And that is similar to your engagement. Yung pagbaba ni baby sa pelvis ni nanay. Pag bumababa na po si baby sa pelvis ni nanay, ang tawag natin doon ay lightening process. And it has a relationship to the fetal station po. Okay? Tawag doon lightening or the engagement. So, nangyayari dito kapag pumupunta na si baby sa ating zero station. Okay? Pag pumupunta na si baby sa zero station, tawag doon ay lightening process po or the fetal stationing. Yan. So, sino ang nauuna sa engagement niya? Si primigravida ba or si multigravida? Sino nauna? Si primigravida. So, ang lightening process ng mga primigravida ay 1 week before 1 week to 2 weeks before your labor and delivery. Bababa na yung baby nila sa pelvis nila 1 to 2 weeks pa lang before labor and delivery. That is your lightening for primigravida. For multigravida naman, lightening will occur at the onset of labor na. At ito yung ating fetal station na tinatawag. Yung negative station tsaka positive station in OB. So dapat alam niyo din po yun. So in obstetrics, meron tayo tinatawag na fetal stationing, no? At may kinalaman yun sa ating engagement. So kunwari ito yung ating stations. Dito sa gitna, dito yung ating zero station po. Zero station 'yan. Tapos bawat station may 5 levels po 'yan. Wait lang. Lagyan natin dito. Pataas tayo. 1 2 3 4 and 5. Dito naman 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so each station has 5 levels po. Okay? Anong station nga itong nasa gitnang pula? Zero station. And this station is your what? Engagement. Engagement. Level of ischial spine. That is the level of ischial spine na kasi. So once na umabot na yung ulo ni baby dito sa zero station ng maternal pelvis, that is already an engaged baby. Engaged na po siya. Nakakasabay po ba kayo? Try to digest the information kasi OB is one of the hardest subject in your board exam. Okay, again. Anong station daw nag-engage na yung ulo ni baby? Anong station daw nag-engage na yung ulo ni baby? 0 station po. So kapag if the fetal head is at the level of ischial spine, what station is this? Station 0 po yun. Ano yung station above ischial spine? Negative stations po ito. Okay? Negative station. Negative stations po above ischial spine. Yan. How about sa baba ng ischial spine? Sa baba ng ischial spine mo, that is your positive station. Yan. That is your below ischial spine. Okay? Below ischial spine. Now, so tulad ng sabi ko kanina, each station may 5 levels po yan. So dito, negative 1 po ito. Negative 1. Negative 1. Itong pangalawa naman, negative 2. Itong pangatlo, negative 3. Itong pang-apat, negative 4. Negative 4. Yung pang-5, negative 5. Okay, nakuha po ba? Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Then dito naman, pababa tayo. Positive 1. Positive 2. Positive 3. Positive 4. Positive 5. So yan naman yung nasa baba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 na lang nilagay ko kasi automatic po yan na positive station kahit wala siyang symbol. Tama? Kahit wala siyang sign na na positive negative sign, automatic po yun na positive na yung ating numbers diyan. Tama ba? Kung ano nabasa mo sa board exam. Sabi ng doktor, the fetal head is 5 cm above ischial spine. O anong station na po yun? What is 5 cm above ischial spine? Negative 5. Very good po. Ganito yan ha. O makinig kayo. Bawat stations po dito sa ating sinulat, sila po ay nire-represent ng centimeter. Kumbaga, sa board exam, kung tinanong ka sa exam, narinig mo daw na sabi daw ng doctor is, the baby is at negative 2 station, sabi daw ng obstetrician. Tinanong ka ng pasyente, what does negative 2 station mean? What would be your response? Your response would be, the baby's head is 2 centimeter above ischial spine. No kanyo? 2 centimeter above ischial spine. O di kaya, sabi ng doktor daw sa patient, your baby is in positive 3 station. Positive 3 station, 3. So, anong sasabihin mo kay patient? Your baby's head is at 3 cm below ischial spine. Ganun lang yon. Kapag positive ang station, below ischial spine ang sabihin mo. Kapag negative station, above ischial spine ang sabihin mo. And kung anong station yung sinabi sa board exam mo, change it in centimeter lang. Nakuha nyo na. Sabi sa board exam, the baby's head, in that situation in your board exam, sabi doon is, the baby's head is located at 4 cm above ischial spine. The nurse or the midwife interprets it as what level of, what station? A, negative 1, B, negative 4, C, positive 4, D, positive 2. Negative 4. Now, sabi niyo sa akin, mahirap ba ang mag-determine or mag-interpret ng station or madali lang? Mahirap or madali lang? Madali lang. So, alamin mo lang kung ano yung above tsaka below ischial spine. Sino na kanina yung below ischial spine? Positive ba or negative? Positive. Ano ang nasa above ischial spine? Negative. So, pag sinabi ng doktor, 2 cm below ischial spine, anong station na po ng bata? 2 cm below ischial spine. Ano na ang station ng bata? Positive 2. Very good po. Sabi ng doktor, narinig mo kasi chismosa ka daw. Sabi na 3 cm above ischial spine. What is the station now? You know that the baby is in what station now? Negative 3. Very good. Okay? So that is your engagement and the fetal station. So I hope malinaw na po tayo dyan kasi matagal na tayo masyado dyan. Okay, so that's your first sign of approaching labor. Yan yung unang patandaan na malapit ng mga anak or lumabas yung baby. Kapag bumababa na yung baby mo papunta sa inyong puwerta. Yan. Next, after po ng lightening natin, ano pa ang next na labor sign? Next labor sign, burst of energy. Yan, burst of energy. Ano yung burst of energy natin? Burst of energy is the nesting instinct. So what hormone causes your burst of energy? Ano ba yung hormone na nagkaka-increase ng energy ang isang tao? The noradrenaline hormone. Yes or no? Anong hormone daw? Noradrenaline. Noradrenaline. The adrenaline rush or the noradrenaline hormones. So, nagiging energetic ang mga pasyente nating buntis 24 hours sila mga anak because of the release of what? Because of the release of epinephrine hormone po. So kapag nakita mo yung buntis na may burst of energy, what should be your advice? Advise the mother to take a rest to conserve energy. Okay? Napansin daw na parang energetic yung nanay, then the mother is doing household chores. And she seems not tired daw sa mga ginagawa niya. So tireless daw si nanay sa ginagawa niya. So what should be your advice? Advise the mother to take rest and conserve energy. I-conserve niya yung energy niya kasi anytime po, pwede na po siyang mag-labor and delivery. So bakit? Nag-release kasi ang kanilang adrenal gland ng epinephrine or adrenaline hormone para i-prepare na po si mother for upcoming labor and delivery. So sign din po yan na malapit ng mga anak yung buntis. Nakuha? Yun. So sign din po yan na malapit na po siyang manganak kapag may burst of energy. And what hormone causes your burst of energy? That is your adrenaline hormone or the epinephrine hormones po. Yan, epinephrine or the norepinephrine, yan po yung nagpapatas ng ating energy. Kapag wala pong epinephrine, norepinephrine dyan, second option natin is the beta estrogen and progesterone. Beta estrogen and progesterone. Pero masagot natin dyan, adrenaline hormone. Adrenaline hormone. The fight and flight hormones. Yan. Next. Leukorrhea. During pregnancy or before delivery, there is an expansion of mucus. May lumalabas na mucus sa mother. So what is the color of that mucus? It is a thick whitish or yellowish discharge po. And that is normal. Lumalabas ito sa board exam. During pregnancy, in a pregnant mother, it is normal for the mother to have a whitish or yellowish vaginal discharge, as long as it is not associated with itchiness or pruritus. That is still normal. Normal yun ha. So wag niyong i-notify ang physician, wag niyo pong i-report sa physician kapag may white discharge during pregnancy. Ang tawag natin doon ay leukorrhea. Leukorrhea. Ang leukorrhea po ba dapat merong itchy or pruritus? May itchiness po ba dapat ang leukorrhea or wala? Wala. Kasi pag may itchiness yan, that is an STI already. Sexually transmitted infection na po yan kapag Makati. So there should be no itchiness, no pain, no other discomfort associated with your discharges. Dapat wala din siyang foul odor. Nakuha? So normal lang sa buntis na may ilalabas na whitish or yellowish discharge. At ang tawag doon ay leukorrhea. And what causes leukorrhea? It is caused by the increasing level of estrogen. Common board question po. Bakit daw may lumalabas na whitish discharge during pregnancy? That is due to the estrogen release. Okay? Si estrogen kasi, pinapalabnaw na niya yung mucus plug mo sa cervix mo nung buntis ka. Yung mucus plug, that is created or formed by progesterone. Pero since malapit ka ng manganak, pag malapit ng manganak yung nanay, bumabagsak kasi yung progesterone hormone nila. And kapag bumagsak yung progesterone hormone nila, tataas yung estrogen. At yung estrogen yung magpapalabnaw doon sa nakabarang mucus sa cervix nila. At kapag yun ay lumabas, ang tawag doon ay leukorrhea. At isang sign po yan na malapit ng manganak yung nanay. Natindihan niyo po ba? It is a sign of approaching labor. The passage of whitish or yellowish discharges po. Ayan. Another sign of approaching labor, ruptured membrane. Pag sinabing ruptured membrane, that is the most common reason now for admission. Bakit ang mga buntis nagpapadmit na sila? Kasi pumutok na yung panubigan po nila. So always remember that in any case na meron po tayong complaints from the mother that they pass fluid per vagina, your first action is to check the fetal heart tone. Kapag may mga complaint po yung mga mother po na may lumabas ng tubig sa vagina nila, always prioritize your checking of fetal heart tone. Why? Because the rupture of membrane can precede your cord prolapse. Yan, cord prolapse is preceded by rupture of membrane kasi. So in any case po na may na-encounter kayo sa board exam na pumutok ang panubigan ni nanay, number 1 priority is to check your fetal heart tone. Kasi anytime after rupture of your membrane, it can dislodge the umbilical cord of the baby. And if the umbilical cord is dislodged outside the vagina, it can be compressed by the fetal head, leading to your hypoxia or asphyxiated baby. Pwede po siyang hindi makahinga. Naintindihan po ba tayo? Again, so pag may na-encounter kayo mga board exam question, pumutok yung panubigan, anong una mong gagawin? Place the mother in a bed and check the fetal heart tone po. Okay, check the fetal heart tone agad-agad. Do not determine the color, the odor, the amount of the fluid, but rather check the fetal heart tone first. Huwag ka muna mag-notify ng physician. Check the fetal heart tone first. Why? Because rupture of membrane will cause fetal distress. Okay, especially if the umbilical cord is protruding. If the umbilical cord is protruding into the vagina. What is the position for fetal heart rate monitoring? It should be in your left side position po. Left side position. Left side. Yan. Next, what will confirm your leakage of amniotic fluid? Ang sagot sa board exam, to confirm leakage of amniotic fluid, the test is known as the nitrazine paper test. Lumabas na yun sa board exam. Again, what is the test to confirm leakage of amniotic fluid? Nitrazine paper test. What should be the color of the nitrazine paper to confirm ruptured amniotic membrane? The paper will turn blue or grayish. Kapag naging blue or grayish yung nitrazine paper, that is your ruptured membrane already. But what if the nitrazine paper is color yellow or orange or red? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Color yellow means what? Intact membrane. So urine lamang yung na-detect mo kapag gano'n, hindi pa yun yung panubigan ng buntis. Again, what will confirm rupture of membrane? Nitrazine paper turns blue. Nitrazine paper turns blue, or under microscope, there will be a ferning pattern in your amniotic fluid. Yan. Kapag nakita mo po sa ating microscope na may mga furnings pattern na yung discharge sample na nakuha mo, that is your confirmed rupture of membrane. So what is the confirmatory of ruptured membrane? Frein test. Pag walang Frein test, answer nitrazine paper test. Pag walang foreign test, answer nitrazine paper test. Pag naglaban yung dalawa, what is the confirmatory? Foreign test. Kasi under microscope na po ito. Yan. Pag dalawa sila, naglaban yung foreign test at saka yung nitrazine paper test, syempre, sagot mo yung under microscope. It's the foreign test na. Okay? Okay, next. In case of cord prolapse, kasi sabi natin, there's a danger in your rupturing of membrane and that is your cord prolapse po. When there is a cord prolapse, your first action is to position the mother to niches. Common board question din. Sir, walang niches sa board exam namin. Anong lumabas? Trendelenburg. Yes, that is also correct position to manage your cord prolapse. Okay? So the position to manage your cord prolapse is either niches or Trendelenburg position. Common board question din po yan. Second action, relieve cord compression and prevent drying of the cord. So how can we relieve cord compression and how can we prevent drying of the cord? Cover the cord with sterile gauze wet with your normal saline solution. So if you are caring for a patient with cord prolapse, there should be always a bottle of sterile NSS at the bedside of your patient. Bakit? Bakit kailangan ng bottle of sterile normal saline solution sa bedside? Kasi kailangan mo yon to wet your gauze to cover the cord. That is to prevent drying of the cord, to prevent asphyxia of the newborn. Para makahinga yung baby. Kasi tandaan natin, dyan humihinga yung baby sa kanyang umbilical cord. Okay? So next, you can relieve cord compression by gently pushing the fetal head back to the pelvis. Tandaan niyo po ha, we can push the fetal head back to the pelvis but never the cord. Pwede mong itulak pataas, pabalik sa butas ang ulo ni baby, wag lang yung umbilical cord. Never attempt to replace the cord inside the vagina. Ako po? Again, never attempt to replace the cord back into the vagina because there is a tendency na pag binalik mo yung cord ni baby sa loob ng vagina, di mo na makita kung naiipit na ito ng ulo ni baby. So mas safe po na yung ulo ni baby yung iaangat natin paloob, pabalik sa loob kesa yung cord ni baby. Nakuha po ba? Again, you can push the fetal head back to the pelvis but never push the cord in the vagina. So that is your cord prolapse management. So check also for any signs of respiratory distress to the mother. Give oxygen kapag nahirapang huminga si nanay. Yan. So yan yon, give oxygen kapag nahirapang huminga si nanay. So that is your niches position. Pag wala yung niches position as what I said kanina, you can also answer your Trendelenburg. At alam ko, Trendelenburg yung lumalabas sa board exam. Trendelenburg yung lumalabas sa board exam. Number 5. Another key sign or premonitory sign of approaching labor is your Braxton-Hicks contraction po. So what is Braxton-Hicks contraction? It is a practice labor contraction lang. Ibig sabihin yan, false labor, false alarm. It is a asynchronous labor. Pawala-wala po siya. Kasi pag synchronous yung labor, pag regular, ang ibig sabihin ng synchronous, regular contraction yon. Pag asynchronous contraction, that is a false labor contraction. Okay? So kapag false labor contraction, that is Braxton-Hicks contraction. In the board exam, lumalabas po ito as the uterine squeezing. What do you call to the uterine squeezing na nararamdaman ni nanay? Ang tawag na ay Braxton-Hicks contraction. So how can we characterize uterine squeezing or Braxton-Hicks contraction? The contraction should be intermittent. Ano ibig sabihin ng intermittent? It comes and go. Okay, what is come and go? Come and go means on and off. Pawala-wala lamang po siya. Okay? Hindi siya regular. It means irregular po siya. So since pawala-wala, it is painless contraction. And that is normal. Normal po na magkaroon ng Braxton-Hicks contraction ng mga buntis because the purpose of this contraction is to strengthen the uterine muscles po. Okay? This is not after pains. Ang after pains naman po, that is your contraction after delivery. This one is a contraction before labor and delivery. Okay? And this may occur anytime during pregnancy because the purpose of this contraction is to strengthen the uterine muscles po. Again, what is the primary purpose why your uterus practice labor contractions? To strengthen the muscles of the uterus. Okay, to strengthen the muscles of the uterus. Yan. Okay, so during contractions ng Braxton Hicks, it is normal, nurses, for the fetal heart tone to go down. Then, after contraction, babalik ulit siya into normal range. Normal lang po yun ha. Kapag nag-contract ang uterus, bababa ang fetal heart tone. Pero pag nag-relax ang uterus, babalik ulit sa normal ang fetal heart tone. That is normal. Yes, it's a probable sign of pregnancy. Next, another sign of approaching labor is your bloody show. What is bloody show? A sign associated with cervical effacement and dilatation. Cervical effacement and dilatation. So pag sinabi natin bloody show, it's the mixture of mucus and bloody vaginal discharge. So bakit may bloody show ka? Bloody show is the result also of your leukorrhea. Yan, lumalabas na kasi yung ating mucus plug. At kapag lumabas yung mucus plug, pwedeng blood-stained na po siya. And that is a sign already of dilating cervix. So is it a positive sign of labor? Yes or no? Yes. That is a true labor signs na. True labor sign na po ito. When there is a bloody show, blood-stained mucus in a laboring woman, that is a positive sign or that is a true sign of labor already. Manganganak na po yung nanay. So that's your bloody show. Okay? So what is the difference between your false labor and your true labor? In the false labor, the contraction is irregular or intermittent. False alarm lang siya. Di ka pa manganganak. So kapag ikaw naman na ay may regular contraction, true labor na po yun. Manganganak ka na kapag regular na yung contraction mo. Okay. So in terms of pain, in false labor, it is painless. But in true labor, it is painful. Yan. Painless, painful. Where is the origin of pain in false labor? False labor pain originates in the abdomen only, confined in the abdomen only. But in true labor, it will radiate to your back or up to your abdomen. Radiating to back to abdomen or vice versa is a sign of true labor. Sumakit ang likod, sumakit ang tiyan, papuntang likod, true labor po yun. If the pain is sedated, that is a false labor. Binigyan mo ng Buscopan na wala yung pain, false labor yun. Okay, napatulog mo yung nanay na wala yung pain, false labor po yun. If it is sedated by rest and medication, false labor po yun. So kahit magbigay ka ng Buscopan, masakit pa rin kasi humihilab pa rin, true labor na po yun. Or the pain is intensified by activities like walking. Naglalakad-lakad lang si nanay pero ang sakit pa rin ng kanyang tiyan. Tawag yun is true labor na po yun. So false labor, there's an absence of bloody show. And in true labor, there's a presence of bloody show. Yung dugo kanina. Yan. But what is the hallmark sign of true labor? The presence of progressive cervical effacement and dilatation. Tandaan niyo yun. Okay, it is the presence of progressive cervical effacement and dilatation. So are we clear with the difference between false labor and true labor po? Clear po ba tayo dyan? Yan. Okay. So childbirth preparation methods. Number 1, we have your Dickreed method. Pag sinabi natin Dickreed method, this is the method that breaks the cycle of fear, tension, and pain. Naniniwala si Dickreed that pain felt by woman in labor is caused by their fear. Kaya daw sila nakakaramdam ng pain during labor is because of their fear. So anong ginagawa ni Dickreed? Natural childbirth method po. Ano ginagawa niya? More on relaxation technique. Okay? Si Dickreed po ang nag-propose ng chest breathing. Again, sino ang nag-propose ng chest breathing during your labor and delivery? Sagot natin, Dickreed. Dickreed. Okay, Dickreed method. Again, si Decreed po ang nagsabi na kaya masakit ang labor and delivery kasi takot ang mga nanganganak. The fear causes your tension and pain during labor and delivery. So ano sabi niya? Mag-relax ka lang kapag manganganak ka. So anong relaxation technique ang binigay niya? Ang relaxation na binigay po niya is the chest breathing. Chest breathing po. Yun yung kanyang pinaka-highlight. The chest breathing relaxation technique. Next, Bradley method. Pag sinabing Bradley method, it is the husband coach method po. Ano ibig sabihin ng husband coach? The partner of the mother plays an active role during your labor and delivery. Siya yung kasakasama ni nanay sa kanyang mga prenatal check-ups, sa kanyang mga exercise, and during your labor and delivery. So, kapag kasama si tatay sa labor and delivery room at ina-assist niya si nanay during labor and delivery, what do you call for the childbirth preparation method? Ang tawag doon ay Bradley method. Bradley method po. Nakita daw ng nurse na si tatay, tinutulungan niya si nanay na mag-perform ng pelvic rocking exercise. Okay, nagpe-pelvic rocking exercise daw si nanay kasama yung asawa niya. Ano tawag mo sa method na yun? Bradley method. By the way, what is pelvic rocking exercise? What is the importance of pelvic rocking exercise? What is the importance of pelvic rocking exercise? Anyone? Wala? Okay. Pelvic rocking exercise, that is the Kegels exercise. Kapag muscles po yung ni-strengthen natin. Okay? Kegels po yun ha. Kegels yun. Kapag pelvic floor muscles ang ni-strengthen po, Kegels yun. Pero sa pelvic rocking exercise, the purpose of this exercise is to relieve your back pain. Okay? To relieve back pain and to relieve abdominal pressure. Yun yung purpose ng pelvic rocking exercise. Yes. So anong exercise ang pwede nating i-offer sa mga laboring woman with a severe back pain or back discomfort? Pelvic rocking exercise. Huwag niyo kakalimutan yun. Pelvic rocking. So that is the purpose of pelvic rocking po. Pelvic rocking exercise. To alleviate or to relieve backache. Yan lang. Okay, so pagkasama si tatay, nagpe-pelvic rocking si nanay, tawag doon ay Bradley method. Yan, Bradley method ang tawag doon. O di kaya nakita mo, si nanay tsaka si tatay nag-ambulate daw po sila sa hallway. Okay, the parturient is walking in the hallway together with her husband. What method of childbirth preparation is being used? It's the Bradley method. It's the Bradley method. Next, LeMay's method. LeMay's method is the method with psychoprophylaxis. Ano to? Psychoprophylaxis, it is a childbirth method with controlled breathing and cleansing breaths. So, kung kanina kay Decreed ay chest breathing po, kay LeMay's naman ay abdominal breathing. Okay? So, sino daw po ang nag-propose ng abdominal breathing and panting breathing during your delivery? Si LeMay's. So pag tinanong ka sa board exam, Sir, ano daw po yung paghinga ni nanay kapag nasa second stage na siya? Or, yes, second stage na siya of labor. What should be the breathing technique of the mother in the second stage of labor? Pag sinabing second stage, the delivery of the baby. A, chest breathing. B, abdominal breathing. C, panting breathing. Sagot nyo. Correct answer, nurses, midwives, panting breathing po. Panting na. Kapag nasa latent phase ka pa lang, latent phase is chest. Then, active phase is abdominal. And transitional and second stage is panting breathing. Panting breathing. Okay, huwag niyo kalimutan. Baka itanong po yan sa exam nyo. Yan, panting breathing po yon. The breathing technique used in the second stage of labor is the panting breathing. Yan, pant blow. Pant blow breathing kung tawagin natin. Para maiwasan natin ang hyperventilation. To prevent hyperventilation, the mother is teach on how to pant blow breathing. Yan. So aside sa cleansing breath na tinuro ni LaMaze, ano pang tinuro niya? Control of pain by relaxation, massage, and proper positioning. So sino ang nag-propose ng F-Liraj? F-Liraj massage. LaMaze. Keyword, lamas. May paglamas sa tiyan, may paglamas sa kanyang likod, may paglamas sa kamay, hinihilot-hilot ng nanay, ng tatay yung kamay ng kanyang asawa or ng mga midwife or ng mga nurses para lang ma-divert yung pain niya. Ang tawag doon ay LaMaze method po. So in LaMaze method, there is a limited use of pain relievers. Hindi tayo gumagamit dito ng mga pain relievers or anesthesia. Yan, LaMaze po yun. Next, Le Boyer method, a childbirth without violence. Odent method naman is the water birth naman. Pag may nanganak po sa mga tubig-tubig, yan, that is an Odent method already. Sheila Kitzinger, the psychosexual philosophy link in your birth experiences. Na sinabi ni Sheila Kitzinger that your labor and delivery is part of a woman's life cycle daw. Pag sinabi po niya na labor and delivery is part of every woman's life cycle, automatic, Sheila Kitzinger na po yung ating method of preparation na ginamit. Okay? So that would be the childbirth preparation methods po. So next, stages of labor. Last November board exam, may mga lumabas po sa stages of labor natin. So number 1, the first stage of labor. Pag sinabing first stage of labor, that is a cervical dilatation or preparatory stage. So kailan nagsimula ang first stage? From the onset of true labor until the fully cervical dilatation po. Mag-start po ito. Mag-start po ito kapag naramdaman mo na po yung mga regular contraction, bloody show, and progressive cervical dilatation. Then, kailan mag-e-end ang first stage? The end of first stage is 10 cm cervix, 10 cm cervix. The first stage of labor will end if the cervix are fully dilated na. And the end of the first stage is the beginning of the second stage. Kunwari, dinala daw si nanay at 3 cm cervical dilatation. On which stage now of labor and delivery is the mother? A, first stage, B, second stage, C, third stage, or D, fourth stage. Ang sagot nyo? First stage pa lang. Kasi 3 cm pa lang po siya. Kailan siya papasok sa second stage? Kapag 10 cm na po siya. The end of the first stage is the beginning of the second stage. Nakuha po ba? Kunwari, the mother was brought to the emergency room with 10 cm cervical dilatation. What is the stage of labor now? What is the stage of labor now? First stage, second stage, or third stage? Ano sagot nyo? First stage, second stage, or third stage? Sagot natin, second stage na. Kasi 10 cm na po siya. 10 cm na po siya. Okay, very good po. Next, second stage of labor. Second stage of labor is the fetal delivery or the fetal expulsion stage. Yan. Fetal delivery or the fetal expulsion stage. So, kailan nag-start po ang second stage? It will start at the end of the first stage. At ano ba yung end ng first stage natin? Fully cervical dilatation or 10 cm cervix. 10 cm cervix. Yan. So, kailan mag-e-end ang second stage? Upon the completion of fetal delivery. Pag lumabas na yung baby, that is now the end of second stage, but the beginning of the third stage. Nagets nyo? Yung end po nila, beginning ng next stage po yun. Okay? At ano nakikita natin sa ating second stage? Sa second stage, nakikita natin dito yung crowning of the fetal head. And that will signal your second stage of labor. Pag may pag-usli na yung ulo ni baby sa puwerta ni nanay, second stage na po yun. Second stage na po yun. Okay? Sa third stage naman natin, placental expulsion stage. It will begin right after the delivery of the baby until the delivery of the placenta. That is the third stage. Pagkalabas ni baby, yun na yung beginning ng third stage. And it will end until placenta was delivered. Okay? Pagka-deliver ng placenta, that is the end now of the third stage. And the end of the third stage will be the beginning of the fourth stage. So, kailan mag-start ang fourth stage? 10 minutes after the delivery of the placenta up to the first 2 hours after delivery. That would be the immediate postpartum or the fourth stage of labor and delivery. Now, I will give you a situation or scenario and determine whether what stage of labor the woman is in. Okay. The woman was brought to the emergency room together with the baby but with undelivered placenta. On which stage now is the woman? The woman was brought to the emergency room with the baby but with undelivered placenta. On which stage now is the woman? Pakisagot. I-analyze nyo yung situation. The woman was brought to the emergency room together with the baby with undelivered placenta. On which stage now of labor and delivery is the woman? The answer is third stage already. Why? The woman was brought to the emergency room together with the baby but with undelivered placenta. So pag nakalabas na yung baby, as what I said kanina, upon the completion of fetal delivery is the beginning of the third stage of labor. Nakuha po ba? Naintindihan niyo po ba yung situation natin? Na-deliver na kasi si baby, placenta na lang ang hindi pa na-deliver. So nasa third stage na po siya. Yan. How about a woman was brought to the emergency room together with the baby and the placenta? What is the stage now of your labor? What stage now of labor is the woman in? The woman now is in the fourth stage of the labor na. Why? Kasi delivered na yung baby, delivered na yung placenta. Okay? So are we clear with your 4 stages of your labor and delivery? Ayan, okay? So in the first stage of labor and delivery, it is the cervical dilatation stage. Always remember, it is the longest stage of labor. So in the first stage, there are 3 phases: your latent phase, active phase, and transitional phase. Latent, active, transitional. Okay? And that would be our topic tomorrow night na po. Okay? So bukas, tatapusin natin itong ating intrapartal. So nag-end tayo dito sa ating stages of labor. Then next day na naman, yan. So para hindi kayo mabigla. So marami pa kasi ito. So ayun. So bukas ulit, we will discuss this again tomorrow night, 6 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Yan. Same time, yes. Para hindi kayo ma-overload agad. So hinay-hinay lang para ma-absorb po ng mga utak natin. Especially yung mga matagal nang hindi nakapag-review. Yan. May klase pa po ba kasi bukas, sir? Yes, final coaching natin sa NP2 tayo bukas. For the nurses, NP2 na tayo bukas. Yan, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. For the cram sheet, pakiantay nyo lamang kasi minomodify ko pa siya. Yan, minomodify ko pa siya para iwas sa mga sa mga leakage. Okay, so hanggang doon na lamang po, no? So kita-kits ulit tayo bukas sa mga nurses. 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the NP2 final coaching and rationalization. Then sa gabi, we will continue this topic na naman. Pagkatapos po ng topic na to for the nurses, jump tayo sa ating next na topic, which is the medical surgical topics naman. Okay, so kita-kits po tayo bukas.